Hi, I'm Amy Shaker, and I'm with Point Blue Tangles, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. So today I'm going to walk you through an introductory Zentangle tile and the method that we use to create Zentangle tiles. So in front of you, you should have an artist tile, or what we call a Zentangle tile. You can use any piece of paper. So you don't have to have a tile. One of the great things about Zentangle is that it can be done anywhere and with almost any tools. So traditionally in Zentangle, we use an actual Zentangle tile that's square. It's a cotton piece of paper, so it's really thick and heavy. And on the back, you'll see the Zentangle logo, and you can put the date and sign it and any notes that you want to put. Again, you don't have to have any of these things. This is just what we traditionally use. I believe you've been given a blank artist tile, which you will see here. You can get these at most art shops, so you can even get them at a fabric store. So like Joann or Hobby Lobby, and these are, I believe, I don't really know how much these are. I want to say around $5 for this whole stack. But again, you don't have to get anything like this. That's the great part of Zentangle, is you can just do it anywhere. I do it in my notebook all the time when I'm listening to a meeting. I Zentangle because it does help you focus. So what is Zentangle? I'm going to show you some examples. So here is a completed Zentangle tile that I did using the Zentangle method. And I'm going to show you, so you can see this one is shaded. I've used some shading on here. Here's a tile that I'm working on right now that I haven't finished. I haven't shaded it. But again, I'm using the Zentangle method, and you can even leave it unshaded if you don't want to shade it. For those of you who like to experiment and get adventurous, this is a bigger size tile. And I did it with black ink, but I used a purple or colored pencil to do the shading. So that's always an option. If you don't have a colored pencil, you can always use a crayon. You can do it with really anything. This one I did with different colored inks. So I did just a green pen and a purple pen and a yellow pen. So I did this for kind of Mardi Gras. These are the Mardi Gras colors. And I shaded it with just a regular pencil. And then I also used white chalk to highlight it a little bit. So you can do lots of things. Here's another example of what I did with color. So this is black ink, kind of a pink and a red jelly roll pen. So if you've ever played with jelly roll, that's what these are. These are really fun. They glow in under UV light. So if you were to put a UV flashlight over this, you would be able to see it in the dark. So it's just kind of fun. So you can do so many things with Zentangle. So for those of you who really like to experiment and who are very artsy, you can do whatever you want. For those of you who are a little less convinced about your artistic abilities, this is also for you, because one of the things that we say in Zentangle is that if you can make an I, a C, an S, and an O, or an orb, you can Zentangle. So these are the basic shapes for Zentangle. And the best part about Zentangle is that it's repeated patterns that are very comforting and relaxing. So the purpose of Zentangle is mindfulness, right? So for those of you who sometimes are anxious about things, or people who have ADHD, Zentangle is a great way to calm your mind. I get very anxious easily, so I use Zentangle as a way to calm my mind. Like I said, I put it in my notebook all the time. So when I'm in a meeting and my mind starts to wander, I actually start to Zentangle because it helps me focus. So the other tenet of Zentangle is no mistakes. So this is really important because sometimes when you're a student, you're hard on yourself and you feel like you have a lot of grades and all of these things to do. But in Zentangle, there's no mistakes. You're gonna see we're gonna use a pen, and this pencil only comes in at certain points, and you're not allowed any eraser. And the best part about this is that sometimes that's a little scary, but it's kind of fun to see what happens when you make an error or an oops, as I call it, and you can create something beautiful out of that. So in life, right, we make mistakes, but if we learn to see them as opportunities, there are more possibilities. So one of the things that we say in Zentangle is that anything is possible one stroke at a time. So you'll see that these seem really complicated, but when we follow kind of a broken down method, we can create awesome things. So I'm gonna get started. So let's get our blank paper out. And again, if you don't have the square is on purpose, but if you don't have a square and you just have a notebook, that's okay too, right? So we're gonna start with a pencil. And the first step of Zentangle is to kind of get yourself in a mindset of calm and relax. I don't know if you can hear behind me. I have a bird who is very loud and talking to himself. So if this were pretend you had a sibling, a brother or sister who is kind of being annoying, you're going to learn to shut that out, right? Take a deep breath, right? We're going to take our pencil and we're just going to make very light dots kind of in the corner. These are called our four corners, our four dots, our corner dots. And then we're going to just kind of make a frame. And again, this is very light. And they don't even have to be that straight. You can see mine are kind of squiggly here. And this is why we have a square tile. We like to turn it. So you can see very lightly, I have made a little frame. So that's step one of Zentangle is to kind of calm, be intentional. Sometimes you can actually set an intention or set an appreciation. So in these four corners, you start with your dots, that's step two. Then you make your frame, that's step three. Then step four is to make what we call a string. And for our purposes today, we're gonna just kind of start with a Z. We're gonna divide our tile in four. You can do lots of different strings. For example, this started with a different string. I'm not sure what it was. And the nice thing is you can't really see these at the end. And one of the awesome things too is that even though I've created this border and these strings, they're always just suggestions. This is the best part. If you're one of the rule followers, Zentangle is great in that there's no mistakes. So if you go outside the lines, great, just go with it. So this is our base of our tile. And so we're gonna fill each of these areas with a different tangle. And so these are tangles, right? And the best part is that they can be broken down into easy steps. So our first pattern that we're gonna do is called printemps. And I'm gonna just show you on a blank one. And printemps is French for spring, like springtime. But this is a play on words because this tangle actually looks like a spring. So it's just a spiral, right? So we're gonna start with lots of spirals. And then you're going to see that I hit this one, and I'm just going to stop, and I'm going to carry on the next one. So it's the nice thing is this is going to start to give it a little 3D look. I'm going to go here. So when I'm behind something, if I start here, I'm going to spiral until I hit it, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to kind of pick up here. So instead of going over, I'm going to go behind or under. So it looks like this thing, this coil, is going under. Same thing here. Right? So this is a technique we call over under. The nice thing about printemps is you can make it big, as you can see, or you can make it a little smaller. So you can even make it really tiny like this. So there's no rules. Again, what we're going to do now is go back to our tile, and we're going to pick one of our areas, and we're going to start filling it in with these spirals. So the idea here is to be very intentional, and yours are probably not going to look like mine, and that's okay. So here I'm against the border, and I can stop and make it look like this spiral is stuck in the corner, or I could cross the border if I want. Again, it's up to you. So how I do printemps is that I start by spreading them out. And see here I'm at the border, but I'm going to cross it. And I kind of make them spread out, and then I just start kind of filling it in. So these ones are going to look like they're on top. And this one I'm not going to cross the border. And I don't have a reason why. I'm just doing it. So the nice thing is to remember to keep your grip on your pen loose. Sometimes when we get stressed out, our grip gets really tight on our pen or pencil. So this is a nice way to remind yourself to relax. So you are creating something beautiful already. See, I'm just keep filling it in. Something else you could do while you're doing this, you can put on your favorite music, enjoy. Something that helps you relax. Right, so see, I've filled in this area. Now I'm going to go to my next tangle, which I'm going to call Knight's Bridge. And this is a checker pattern, right? So you're going to just draw some parallel lines. And this is again why our tile is square, because it's really easy to turn it. So the nice part about that is that your pen, you're always in a comfortable direction. You're not making yourself go like this. So we've got a grid, and we're going to color it in. So for those of you who like coloring and who find that relaxing, this is a great pattern for you. Right. So you're going to alternate just like a checkerboard. So that's why it's called Knightsbridge. So it's supposed to look like a checkerboard. The best rule of thumb is to do the one diagonally down from it. I used to try to do every other, and I always would get confused, which is also okay. So if you color in one you didn't mean to color in, it's okay. Lots of ways to, I always just pretend like I meant to do that and move on. Right? So you end up with a checkerboard. I would say when we're moving this in, when we're filling this in, if you don't enjoy coloring, don't make it small, right? The smaller these are, the more coloring you have to do. So if that's not your idea of fun, don't make them very small. And don't fill in the biggest parts. Some people love this and some people are not color, that's not their favorite thing to do. It does look really cool when you finish it though. So I'm going to pick this area here, and I try to make mine about as far apart as this end of my pen. You can do it differently, and you can make it go in whatever direction you want. So you can make it go like this, or you can make it go at an angle. And then I'm gonna, and you can even make it so that these are slanted a little bit. It doesn't have to be a square. It can be more of a diamond. This is the great part about Zentangle, is even though we have, patterns that we do, it's all individual. It's up to, you can have your personality expressed. So I'm gonna start coloring it in. And I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna kind of go to this next one here. I'm gonna color these in. And don't forget that you can pause and fast forward through this video as you want. So remember, make sure your grip on your pencil is loose. Kind of, if you're like me, sometimes you squeeze it hard. Make sure to relax your shoulders. This is supposed to be a relaxing time. So you can see it's kind of starting to fill in. There we go. So there's my Knightsbridge. And the next one that I'm going to do. And if you're still filling in your Knightsbridge, don't worry, you can pause it, finish, and unpause it and come back. So we're going to do one now called Hollabaugh. So Hollabaugh, Molly Hollabaugh is one of the people who works at the Zentangle place. So this one's named after someone in her family. So we're going to start with 2 parallel lines. And this is we're gonna practice our under over technique. And again, don't worry if it's not straight, if it's a little squiggly, if these aren't exactly parallel and they kind of it doesn't matter. So what I did there was, I went until I hit that, and then I imagine that line continuing, and then I pick it up on the other side. So kind of like what we did with printemps, and I carry on. So again, this is that idea of over under, and this is what makes things kind of look 3-dimensional. Right? So the more, and you're just going to kind of make them go in different directions. And see, look, that is definitely not straight, but I don't care. It's all right. So this is Hollabaugh. And I'm going to do it in my biggest one, but you can do it wherever you want. And so I'm just going to start with my lines here. There you go. I'm going to turn. For me, it's easier to go this way. And again, do it how it's most comfortable for you. I like to bring my lines down. I feel like that's how they are straighter for me. You can draw up, you can draw sideways, whatever works for you. Turn the tile or turn your paper how it's comfortable for you. I'm left-handed, so sometimes what's comfortable for me is not comfortable for other people. So you can see this is kind of starting to get pretty cool here. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside my border. Sometimes it's fun to break those rules, not color in the lines. Gonna do the same with this one, just because I can. Right? Bird is talking to himself. I don't know if you can hear that. His name is Cappy. He's saying he's a good bird. That's right. He really wants to be zentangling with me, but he usually tries to throw all of my materials around. It's kind of like a cat. So you can see that. One of the fun things that you can also do is to make it come as if it's going underneath this pattern. Make it keep going. Maybe do that for another one. So that's the nice thing with Zentangle. It can be as complicated or as simple as you want, but it can be fun. It can be playful. So that's Hollabaugh, and this is going to look cool when you start to shade it. The other thing that you can do is you can put some more printemps in there. You can always fill it in like this. Make it look like the printemps got out a bit. Right? Just kind of fun. Maybe put some over here. This is the nice also thing about Zentangle. Don't have a plan. things just happen, whatever you feel like. So that's one thing. Then we're going to do one final tangle. And this is called jetties. And this is, you're going to start with circles that are touching. And they're going to be different sizes. You can don't make them too small. So we have our circles, and then you make like a stripe in the middle, but it's kind of curved a little bit because then it'll make it look like it's curving with the ball. So you make a stripe and then a thick stripe and then two thin stripes. And again, you can turn your paper and do that to all of them, but they're just kind of going in all different directions. And the more you do this, the more it's going to look like a bunch of balls just kind of, you know, crowding in this space. And this is one of the reasons why I say not to make them too small, because then it's hard to draw the stripes in there, and I've definitely been there. So that's jetties. So I'm going to go back to my tile here, and I'm going to start filling in with these circles. And you can go outside of your border if you want. Right? So that one's going to be hard to do, but so I've got my jetties in here. I might also just, ooh, I'm going to extend that, and I'm going to stick some in here. So this is going to kind of, this reminds me of a ball pit, you know, just kind of imagining these balls kind of squashed in this area made by Hollabaugh, right? So now I'm going to start making my stripe. So this is starting to look pretty cool. My other bird being loud, if you can hear that. We have 4 parrots. All the way from small to large. They can get very noisy. So that's kind of what it looks like when you get all the stripes. And if you had a colored pen, this is something fun to make, like the outside stripes, you know, an accent color, or the inside stripe, an accent color. With this one, you could do, instead of white, you could do black in a different color. So there's all of my jetties done. I might throw one in here. And this is again why it's fun to not have a plan. All right. So that's my tile right now. The next part that I'm going to do is to show you how to shade. If you don't want to shade it, you don't have to. It can be done right here. So when I'm Zentangling in a notebook, I don't shade. And I was going to see if I had my notebook here, but I don't. So, you don't have to shade. Here's an example of one that I haven't shaded. And you can see that's Night Bridge, but I did it kind of at a wonky angle. And this is Hollabaugh, but I just kind of did weird things with the ends. Here's Printemps that I did down below here. So you have all these kinds of options. So let's get to shading. Again, you don't have to shade, but it really helps kind of bring your tile to life if that's what you like, that kind of 3D look. So we're going to work with shading. So this pencil says Zentangle on it, but it's just a regular pencil. So I always kind of say start lightly and then add things, because you can add, but you can't really take away. So one of the things that is fun to shade is Hollabaugh, because it really makes it look like it's 3D. So I'm going to find my top kind of plank or stick, which is here, and I'm going to see where it went over my other ones, and I'm just going to put some graphite or some pencil down there. And I'm going to find this one is also kind of on top. So I'm going to do that. This one right here. So you can kind of stick with just a couple of them, or you can do this to all of them. So I'm going to show you what it looks like with just a few, and then I'll show you a lot. So now I have this thing called a tortillon. So this is a blending stump, is what some people call them. This is what we use. If you don't have these, you can find tutorials on YouTube how to make them, but I think they're kind of hard to make. So I just took a piece of paper like this, and I've just kind of, made it into a point. And you just kind of are blending it a little bit. Some people use Q-tips. You could do that. It just softens it a little bit. But again, you don't have to. So I'll show you the difference between. There you go. So a Q-tip would probably blend it a little more than just crumpling up a paper, but there you go. So you can kind of see it's now looking a little three-dimensional. So that's if I just kind of left it with a few of them. But if I wanted to go and do the whole thing, I would put one there, put one there. Now, some people don't like shading. I love it. It's my favorite part of Zentangling. So I could shade all day long. So again, if this isn't something that you find fun, you don't have to do it at all. I really like seeing things kind of come alive and look three-dimensional. To me, that's just, I don't know, pretty fun. So that's what I do. So again, now it's looking a little 3D. The other thing that you can do to shade is around your printemps. Again, you're going to look for the ones that are on top, and you're just going to kind of go around them. with your pencil. So this is gonna, anything that is under that dark part is going to kind of sink underneath, make it look like it's underneath something, creating a shadow. So I've got, I've got my pieces here. And again, you take your Q-tip and kind of smudge it a little bit. Right? So see how these ones look like they're kind of raised up now? That's kind of what that does. For my jetti, if I want to make it look more, my jettis, if I want to make them look more rounded, I'm just going to go along the side. It's hard to do on the small ones, but I'm just going to make a little mark here that follows the curve. And you don't have to do it all on the same side, but that's just kind of how I do it, because then it looks like they're all going the same kind of way, but you can do it however you want. So the difference between that and that. And do all of them. And the nice thing about shading is you can be really simple with it, or it can take a long time. I spend a long time shading because, as I said, I really like it. Right. I'm going to do these ones. And as I said before, anything that I kind of put that pencil on is going to make it look like it's under something. So if I want to make these look like they're kind of far down, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to do that here. So it's going to make it look like they're below those planks. Same here. So if I want to make this look like it's either under these planks, I'm going to put some graphite, some pencil right here. But if I want to make it look like these are going under this, I would put the graphite on this side. So I want the planks to look like they're under like a floor or something. So I'm just going to put some pencil here. And I'm making this look pretty thick because I want it to be pretty bold. So there. So now you can see it looks like another layer. So that's kind of the basics of shading and how we do it. You can also shade around your frame. If you want to. Do it that way. Makes it look like it's kind of popping out. You can also smudge your pencil with your tip of your finger if you want. I'm not very good at doing it that way, but I know a lot of people who do it. So that's kind of a tile. So The last part of doing Zentangle is taking a step back and kind of appreciating what you've done. So we kind of turn it and appreciate, turn it and appreciate, turn it and appreciate. And one of the things that I really like about Zentangle is that I can guarantee you that as many people as watching this, that's how many different versions of this we have. And that's so amazing. And that your personality can come through, and everything that you've done has hopefully been relaxing and mindful, and that you've been able to let go a little bit of how you think things are supposed to look, right? Everybody's looks different. Everybody's looks wonderful. It's relaxing. So appreciate what you've just done just by, making those 4 shapes that we talked about earlier, right? And the final thing that we do is we sign it. So we call it a chop. So lots of people have their different ways of doing it, their initials. So you're supposed to do your initials. So my initials are A, L, A, S. So that's how I just do mine when I do my, I don't know why, but I put 4 little dots around it. So that's how I sign it. So that is a Zentangle tile. And again, there are way more. I taught you 4 patterns. There are a lot of Zentangle patterns. You can find a lot of patterns on tanglepatterns.com, and they break them down into steps. So again, you can see different patterns. This one's a different pattern. This one's kind of like Hollabaugh, but it's a little different. So, we've got all kinds of patterns that are possible. But the cool thing is you can also make so many variations of just the 4 that you already know. So just kind of be creative and let go. I hope you enjoyed the class.